Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Rama Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Gauranga Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Bola bola Rama Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Reborn. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, oh Krishna Krishna, Kishore Kishore, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Jai Jagannath, Rama Rama, oh Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, बोलो बोलो, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, oh Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Reborn, Rama Rama, oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Ram. Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Oh Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan. Jaya Vrindavana Dham, Jaya Vrindavana Dham, Vrindavana. Jaya Radhe Shyam, Jaya Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Jaya. Oh Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Oh Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Oh Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Oh Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Oh Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Oh Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori. Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori, Kishore. Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori, Kishore Kishori. Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori. Oh Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai. Oh Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra. Oh Jagannath Swami Nayana Pathagami, Jagannath. Oh Nayana Pathagami Bhavatme Nayata. Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Gauranita. Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur. Hari Bol, Hari.
जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंसा परिवाजक आचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांता स्वामी शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंसा परिवाजक आचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी महाराज शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। नामाचार्य शिला हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्णा गोपा गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। श्री श्री किशोर किशोरी की जय। जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय। श्री श्री गौर निताई की जय। निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to assemble devotees. All glories to assemble devotees. All glories to assemble devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Namaste Narasingaya. Praladala Gadaine. Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha. Shilatanka Khalaye. Ito Narsinga Parato Narsinga. Yatu Yatu Yami Tato Narsinga. Bahir Narsinga Hridaye Narsinga. Narasinga Madhim Sharanam Prapade. Tava Kara Kamala Varenakha Adbhuta Shringar Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringa Keshavadreta Narahari Rupa Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Narsingadev, 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 Jaya Narsingadev. Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Bhakta Prahlad. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol. नरसिंह देव भगवान की, प्रहलाद महाराज की, शीलिया प्रभुपाद की, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदी.
Please repeat after me. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. On behalf of our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, I would like to welcome all of you for our Sunday Feast program. Thank you once again. Is there anybody here for the very first time? Thank you. We will have a small gift for you. So just please stay. Before we go ahead with the program, there are a few announcements. First, we are going to celebrate 50th year of Sri Kishore Kishore's installation that was done in 1973. The dates are from June 15th to June 18th. All of you are invited with your friends and families. Please, you can participate in many ways. You just have to pick up which way you want to participate. You can just participate by being there. You can offer many services. There's plenty to do. So if you are willing, please let us know and we'll be happy to work out some services for you. Another piece of information, His Holiness Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj, he is going to have a program in Kalibari in Glen Angel, correct? Glen Ellen. Yeah, on Wednesday, it is on March 31st. There will be a bus from the temple leaving at 4 o'clock in the evening. So please come and you can take the bus and it will bring you back as well here. So Wednesday, 31st of March. I'm sorry, May, please forgive me. Now today it gives me a great pleasure to welcome a very, very distinguished and senior devotee of disciple of Srila Prabhupada in our temple today, His Grace Bhima Prabhu. So let's welcome him with a loud Hari Bol. Hari Bol! So Bhima Prabhu, as I mentioned, is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He is also a trustee of BBT. BBT is Bhakti Vedanta Book Trust. So he is going to give the class today. So we are very fortunate that he is here and he is going to give us the class this evening. So thank you so much once again. Let us hear from Bhima Prabhu.
Cocktail's okay. You gonna play Mridanga? You gonna play Mridanga? Okay, great. Hare Krishna. Thank you. We got a Bhagavad Gita here? Big one? This is too small.
Do you need bigger copy?
Yeah, if you got it.
Do you need bigger copy?
Yeah. We just don't have here. Yeah, they got one. Haribol? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Privrajaka Asto Datta Shishimad Abhay Charan Arvindam Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Kori Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Iskan Bibiti Samstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gauru Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Navadi Dham Ki Jai Ganga Maya Jamuna Maya Ki Jai Shrimati Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Shrimati Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Shrimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai Samveda Bhaktivinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, entitled Transcendental Knowledge, text number 5. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bahuni me vititani janmani tavacharjuna tanyaham veda sarvani natvam veda parantapaha. Responsively, word for word. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Bahuni, many, me, of mine, vyatitani, have passed, janmani, birth, tawa, of yours, cha, and also, Arjun, O Arjun, tani, those, aham, I, Veda, do know, sarvani, all, na, not, tvam, you, veta, no, parantava, O subduer of the enemy. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, many, many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. Purport. In the Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, text 33, we have information of many, many incarnations of the Lord. It is stated there, Advaitam Achyutam Anadi Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabam Adhurlabam Atma Bhakto Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, who is the original person, absolute, infallible, without beginning. Although expanded into unlimited forms, he is still the same original, the oldest, and the person always appearing as a fresh youth. Such eternal, blissful, all-knowing forms of the Lord are usually not understood, even by the best Vedic scholars, but they're always manifest to pure, unalloyed devotees. It is stated in the Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, text 39, Ramadi murteshu kala niyamanatistan Nanavataram akarod bhuvanesha kintu. Krishna swayam sambhavat parama pumanyo. Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Govinda, who is always situated in various incarnations, such as Rama, Nrsimha, and many sub-incarnations as well, but who is the original personality of Godhead, known as Krishna, and who incarnates personally also. In the Vedas also it is said that the Lord, although one without a second, manifests himself in innumerable forms. He's like the Vaidurya stone, which changes color yet still remains one. All those multi-forms are understood by the pure, unalloyed devotees, but not by the simple study of Vedas. Vedeshu durlabham adurlabham atma bhakto. Devotees like Arjuna are constant companions of the Lord, and whenever the Lord incarnates, the associate devotees who incarnate in order to serve the Lord in different capacities. Arjuna is one of these devotees, and in this verse it is understood that some millions of years ago, when Lord Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to the sun god Vivasvan, Arjuna in a different capacity was also present. But the difference between the Lord and Arjuna is that the Lord remembered the incident, whereas Arjuna could not remember. That is the difference between the part and parcel living being and the Supreme Lord. Although Arjuna is addressed herein as the mighty hero who could subdue the enemies, he is unable to recall what happened in his various past births. Therefore, a living entity, however great he may be in the material estimation, can never equal the Supreme Lord. Anyone who is a constant companion of the Lord is certainly a liberated person, but he cannot be equal to the Lord. The Lord is described in the Brahma Samhita as infallible, achutya, which means that he never forgets himself, even though he's in the material contact. Therefore, the Lord and the living entity can never be equal in all respects, even if the living entity is as liberated as Arjuna. Although Arjuna is a devotee of the Lord, he sometimes forgets the nature of the Lord, but by the divine grace, a devotee can at once understand the infallible condition of the Lord, whereas a non-devotee, or a demon, cannot understand the transcendental nature. Consequently, these descriptions in the Bhagavad Gita cannot be understood by demoniac brains. Krishna remembered acts which were performed by him millions of years before, but Arjuna could not, despite the fact that both Krishna and Arjuna are eternal in nature. We may also note herein that a living entity forgets everything due to his change of body, but the Lord remembers because he does not change. His Sat Chit Ananda body. He is Advaita, which means there's no distinction between his body and himself. Everything in relation to him is spirit, whereas the conditioned soul is different from his material body, and because the Lord's body and the self are identical, his position is always different from that of the ordinary living entity, even when he descends to the material platform. The demons cannot adjust themselves to this transcendental nature of the Lord, which the Lord himself explains in the following verse. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurhun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Garim Yat Kripa Taraham Bande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram. So in this verse, Krishna is explaining to Arjuna that many lives we've both had. And previously, Arjuna is asking a question because Krishna said that originally I explained this Bhagavad Gita to the sun god millions of years ago. So Arjuna was asking the question, well, How could that be? Because, millions of years ago, how could you have explained it? So Krishna says that, both you and I have had millions of births, but I remember them and you do not. So this is the difference between the living entity and the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord remembers everything. The ordinary human being, the jiva, he changes his body, right? The Supreme Lord doesn't change his body. The Lord's body is always Satchit Ananda. This is something that people make a mistake about. They think that, okay, Lord Krishna was a great person. He became realized. He became Atma Tattva. He became Atma Tattva. No, not like that. Krishna is God. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. What does that mean? Bhagavan Uvacha, the Supreme Lord said. So Krishna didn't become God. Krishna always is God. Right? Sometimes you find that some philosophers advertise that you can become God. The conditioned living entity can never become God. This is the difference between a personal understanding of the Lord and an impersonal understanding of the Lord. The Lord is always the Lord. He's one without a second. He is achutya, as is described here, infallible. He doesn't make mistakes. We make mistakes as conditioned souls. That's how we got here in the material world. How can I know that in my last life I did something sinful and therefore I'm here in the material world? How can I know that? Because I have a material body, right? This is the sign. Last life, we failed the test, right? Just like you go to the 10th standard or high school, there's a big exam, right? And if you pass, you go to the next grade. Right? You can go to college if you pass the senior year of high school, right? But what happens if you don't pass? Back again, right? Return. So we had a test in our last life, right? And what was that test? The test was to remember the Supreme Lord and our relationship with the Supreme Lord at the time of death. But guess what happened? Our cell phone went off. No, we failed. We failed to think of the Supreme Lord in our last life. We flunked the test, and here we are again. Haribol. Right? So now, usually when a student, he goes home and tells his parents he flunked and he has to repeat, then they encourage him or they chastise him or they do something so that next time he passes the exam or she passes the exam and they go to the next level, right? But that's not always that's not always the case with us, right? Because we've not only flunked the exam just last time, but we've flunked the exam many, many, many times. Okay? So what is the incentive for us to get it right this time? To really fulfill the purpose of this human form of life? There's a lot of advertisement that is out there about what you ought to do in life. Enjoy. This is the idea. Enjoy life. But if we take that route called the Privritti Marg, or the life of enjoying the senses and trying to get the most out of life, quote unquote, then it will be very difficult for us to pass the examination of this life. Passing the examination of this life, it means that we go back to the spiritual world from which we came, and we become reestablished in our identity as eternal spirit souls. So Krishna, his purpose in writing the Bhagavad Gita, and speaking the Bhagavad Gita, to the sun god, and then re-speaking it to Arjuna, was to give us a guide, to give us a practical manual about how to be in this world and to fulfill the purpose of the human form of life. Bhagavad Gita is not for cats and dogs. They're not going to be able to understand. They don't have sufficient intelligence. But in the human form of life, we have that sufficient intelligence to understand this message and to understand how to reestablish our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Advaitam Achyutya Anadi, the original person. Right? If you go back and find who your father was, who his father was, all the way back to who your original source is, you'll come to know that that's Krishna. Anadi, the original person. Right? He's very old, right? He's eternal. God is existing eternally. But yet, sometimes some people, they imagine that since God is very old, then he must have a big beard and he must look old. But it's not like that. Here we understand from the Brahma Samhita that Lord Krishna is Navayovanam. He's ever youthful, ever young. And just think about it. If you were God and you could do whatever you wanted, wouldn't you make yourself always young? Doesn't that make sense? Right? People like to be young. Old people are thinking about how things were when they were young. They could play cricket. But now they can't do that. So Navayovana, when Krishna was on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he not only had children, he had grandchildren. How many children did Krishna have? Who can tell me? How many wives did Krishna have? 16,108 wives. And each wife had 10 sons. And each son had 10 sons. That's a lot of grandkids, right? Just like they tell you that, hey Bapa, hum log bahar jayega, hamara bacha ko dekh lena chahiye, hum log thoda bahar jayenge, right? So that's what grandparents do, right? They take care of the grandkids, isn't it? So just think how busy Krishna was taking care of all those grandkids. But still, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, at that time, even though he had all these sons, he had grandsons, he didn't look more than 20 years old. Right? Because Krishna's Navayovana, eternally youthful. Right? So, understanding the nature of God, understanding Krishna's different qualities, helps us to understand the magnificence of Krishna. A lot of people believe in God. Of course, a lot of people nowadays don't believe in God. They argue there is no God. You see, the atheists, they're always talking about there is no God, there is no God. But yet, they're absorbed in God all the time, in a negative sense, right? But even the people that believe in God, they don't really have a lot of information about him, right? What his nature is. Whereas we can understand from the Vedic literatures, and especially Bhagavad Gita, because it's spoken by God himself, and he's telling us what his nature is. And here in this verse, he's saying, telling Arjuna that you had so many births and I had so many births, I remember them, but you don't. So that's a very important aspect about God, is that he may come to the material world. He can do what he likes. And out of his own sweet pleasure, he may come to the material world. But he doesn't change his body. He doesn't become affected by the material world. Whereas we, as jivas are parts of God. We come here because we're forced by the material nature to come here, forced by the material nature to take a particular body, and that body goes through various changes of becoming old and diseased, etc. But none of those things affect Krishna. And therefore, that is the difference between Krishna and the living entity. Although it's true, just as the Supreme Lord is Sat Chit Ananda, the living entity, we the living entities are also Sat Chit and Ananda. Means we're eternal, we're full of knowledge. In our original liberated state, we're full of bliss. However, we've come to this material world, and in this material world, we're in a body that is asat, nirananda, and pretty much filled with ignorance. So the process of devotional service is to take us from this platform of conditional life, being conditioned by this material body, and thinking that we're something to do with this material world, and bring us to our natural, liberated state of understanding that we're eternally connected to God as His servant. Right? Right now we're working very hard to somehow or another to become the master. The master of what? We're trying to lord it over the material energy in various ways. However, it's different for everybody. But trying to lord it over the material world. But it's not possible. The material nature is such is that no matter how hard we struggle, materially speaking, we're destined to fail. Because that satisfaction, our happiness, our success that we think we can achieve in this material world by arranging or manipulating the material energy, it just doesn't happen. Because Krishna says clearly, this world is dukkhalayam and ashashvatam. What does dukkhalayam mean? Duk means unhappiness, right? Suffering, duk, dukkhi. Right? Alaya means place. So, there's different alayams, but this is dukkhalayam. So, where it's a dukkhalayam, if Krishna says it's a place of suffering, but we don't accept his words, we think that if we just get that, get our citizenship in America, then we'll be sukhalayam. Right? But you all have citizenship here, right? Everybody's a U.S. citizen here. Raise your hand. Yeah, pretty much. Now, after you got your citizenship, was everything roses all of a sudden? No. And actually, isn't it a hard struggle for existence, even though you're the U.S. citizen? Right? Yes. And so this, there's this kind of imaginary thing that if things just work out this way, then I'll be happy here in the material world. But it's just an idea. It's not reality. There is no happiness here in the material world. It doesn't work. Because it's not our nature. Our nature is Sat Chit Ananda, to be eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. So how in a place where everything is asat, nirananda, right? How can we be happy here? We can't. It's not possible. Does everybody agree with that? So then the question is, what do we do? Well, Krishna is saying here in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, think of me, become my devotee, and worship me. Right? And then by that simple process of thinking of Krishna, worshiping Krishna, and becoming Krishna's devotee, we can very easily understand Krishna's forms, Krishna's pastimes, and Krishna's holy name. You may be a great scholar, you may know Sanskrit, Vyakaram, but if you're not a devotee of Krishna, then you won't be able to really understand what Krishna is saying, right? So, becoming a devotee of Krishna. And that's not a very difficult thing. It begins by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The next thing that one can do to become a devotee after chanting is to offer whatever we eat to Lord Krishna. Everyone has to eat something. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Anad Bhutani Sarvantya. Everybody exists on food grains, right? Rice and chapatis, right? So these food grains, when they're not offered to Krishna, they become pap. But when they're offered to Krishna, they become prasad, right? So if you can just imagine, if we're always eating pap, then what will our consciousness be? And if we're always eating prasadam, then what will our consciousness be? It'll be spiritualized. It's a very simple thing. Chant the holy name of Krishna. Whatever we eat, we offer to Krishna, and then we take Krishna prasad. Just these two things can elevate us to the platform of being able to think of Krishna, right? And to understand Krishna's pastimes, and to appreciate that Krishna and Krishna's holy name are one and the same thing. So it behooves us to take up this process, right? It's not that you have to, live in the temple or like that. You can live in your home. You can chant the holy name of Krishna. You can offer whatever you eat to Krishna. But one thing is, Krishna doesn't accept certain things, right? He only accepts certain things. He's not going to eat unmentionable foodstuffs that are the modes of ignorance. Right? You have to offer to Krishna sattvic foods, things that Krishna will actually accept, right? And that way you'll be able to satisfy Krishna. Although Krishna is not hungry for your puris, Krishna doesn't need your puris. Right? Radharani is such a good cook that whatever she cooks is sweet as nectar. And not only that, she never cooks the same preparation twice. Nobody can do that. Only Radharani. So Krishna has Radharani cooking for him. He doesn't need our puris, but he accepts whatever we offer to him because we do it out of love. So what he's looking for is not your puris or your whatever you can make, but the love, right? Just like Srila Prabhupada gives the example that a man is going to work, right? He's leaving to work, and his small son brings his shoes for him so that he can, go out, his son. So the man becomes very happy that his small son brought his shoes, right? He can just as well get his own shoes. He doesn't need his son to bring his shoes to him. But if the son does that seva, then he becomes very happy, becomes pleased. So in the same way, we're all eternal parts of Krishna. We're all part of him. We're all his angsas, like his children. And if we do some seva for Krishna out of love, well, then he becomes very pleased. And if Krishna becomes pleased, then we become pleased. This is the secret of happiness, the secret of success, the secret of a life that is successful is that at the time of death, we think of Krishna and pass the test. And just these simple things can help us to do that. Otherwise, the problem is that nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to become old. Nobody wants to become diseased. But because we have these material bodies, we're forced to become old, we're forced to become diseased, and we're forced to die. Although that's not our nature. Our nature is that we want to live eternally in relationship with the Supreme Lord. That is our real nature. However, because we're in this material body, we're forced to experience all these things again and again and again. This is a great opportunity in this human form of life, and also you all have somehow or another come in contact with a pure devotee of the Lord like Srila Prabhupada through his literatures, and that is a great chance to really get this life lined up in the right way so that this time we can pass the test and move on to the higher grades, which means the spiritual world, where Krishna is enjoying with his devotees. So, are there any questions now? Yeah.
Okay, somebody will never understand about Christianity. Okay, Christianity say that God had one child, that was Jesus Christ. But I never understood. Okay, you said that Krishna under Hinduism had many wives and many children. Okay, what I understand, okay, in Christianity, we are not, okay, Hinduism teaches that we are not the body, that we are spirit. Christianity teaches that also, that we are spirit. But you see, also it's taught that God is spirit. We are spirit. Okay, spirit do not have a material body. Spirit do not have a form. So what I don't understand about Christianity is if you, all of us now, we came into existence or born through a man and a lady who has a physical form. They teach us that. I don't understand how, if you don't have no form, how can you?
Who says a soul doesn't have a form? The soul has a form.
Okay, spirit.
Definitely has a form.
Spirit has a form?
Yes.
Well, I would talk that
spiritual form.
A spiritual form.
Srila Prabhupada explains that just like when you wear a coat, the coat is filled out because your body is inside the coat.
Right.
In the same way, the spirit soul has a form, and therefore the body also has a form because of the presence of the soul. It's not a material form, it's a spiritual form, but it has a form.
Okay, yeah, okay. So, but we cannot see the spiritual form. We just see the physical form.
When there's different understandings of spiritual life, and when you try to compare a lower understanding with a higher understanding, there's certain amounts of education that has to take place so that you can come to a higher understanding. Like kids that are in the first standard, they know ABC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, that's true. They can count to 10 and they know ABC. But there's also in education, somebody that knows quantum mechanics or algebra or geometry, and it's also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in ABC, but it's on a much higher level, right? So when you compare different understandings of the soul, there's some that are very rudimentary, and there's some that are more advanced, right? So what we have here is the Bhagavad Gita, and it's the ABCs of spiritual life, but compared to other understandings of the soul, it's much higher. It's much higher. It's not so rudimentary. Many people feel in many religions that they have a soul. I am a body and I have a soul. But that's not correct. We are souls that are inside a material body. And just to help us understand that, Krishna compares the body to being a machine. And many times Prabhupada explains, like the person sitting in the car, right? The person driving the car is not the car, but he may identify with the car. Sometimes if there's an accident, the person jumps out of the car and says, "You hit me." Well, no, sir, I didn't hit you, I hit your car. No, you hit me. Isn't it? Well, that's because he's identifying with the car. In the same way, we identify with this material body. Somebody thinks they're, Gujarati, somebody thinks they're American, somebody thinks they're from here or there. It's like thinking that you're a Mercedes-Benz or you're a Chevrolet or, but we're none of these things. That's our covering, right? So there's different understandings of the nature of the soul. And one of the most perfect and explicit explanations is given by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. So if we just study the Bhagavad Gita, we can raise our educational level of what is spiritual, what I am as an eternal spirit soul, as opposed to anything in this material world, just by studying the Bhagavad Gita. It requires a little bit of patience, and it requires a little bit of work from our side to study Bhagavad Gita, but you'll get a very, very complete understanding of what the soul is and what we are as spirit souls.
Yes, I have a pretty much basic understanding. I used to live in this temple back in the 80s.
Yeah.
So
I know that, but I'm talking about other people who are not so much, accustomed to reading Bhagavad Gita or understanding Bhagavad Gita.
But the basic is to understand, like Papa said in the teaching of Hinduism, the highest knowledge is the knowledge of yourself. So our true self is the spirit, different from the body.
Absolutely.
Right. So my question was, how can spirit? You said, but spirit do have a form, but we don't see it. But how can the form that we don't see, spirit, have sexual intercourse and then produce a child?
Well, the production of the child is a material thing. The seed of the father and the egg of the mother come together, and then because of the presence of the soul, it begins to develop. So what the real developing factor, although the material energy is working in a certain kind of way, is because of the presence of the soul.
Right, I understand.
Therefore, it develops. If there's no soul, no development. And everything that's alive has a soul, is a soul.
You understand that? Like Papa said, life comes from life.
Yes.
And soul.
And what is the symptom? How do we know the soul? Like you said, we don't see the soul, but how do we know the soul is there? Because of consciousness.
Consciousness, right.
Consciousness is the symptom of the soul. Just like heat and fire, you may not see the fire, but you know there's fire if there's heat and light coming. In the same way, we may not see the soul, but But we know the soul's there because of consciousness. These are the symptoms of the soul.
Yeah, Prabhupada said the soul is conscious.
Emanating consciousness.
Right.
We're emanating consciousness in this material body. I know I'm conscious of my finger. If I hit my finger with a hammer, I'm conscious of that. But you're not conscious of that, right? That's because my consciousness is limited to my field of activity. Kshetragya is the term used in the Bhagavad Gita. But Krishna's consciousness is spread out everywhere. He knows all the pains and pleasures of my body and your body and everywhere. His consciousness pervades the entire universe. He's Vishvatma, right? The Supreme Lord. He's conscious of everything, always, 24/7. That's the difference between us and Krishna. Any other questions? Yes? You got to have a question, right? Come on.
Hare Krishna.
You're a smart guy. Yes?
Thank you, Prabhu. Kind of just came to my mind. So Krishna left this universe when he was 125 years old, right? And Arjuna, he was his contemporary, same age. Arjuna, his friend. On the battlefield, Krishna was 120 years old, about this age. And Arjuna was the same. So he was a great fighter. He killed so many people. He was very strong. How he was able to fight when he was being old man, practically?
You know, one of the most powerful fighters on that battlefield was a very, very, very old man. You know what his name was? Bhishma.
Bhishma.
Everybody was afraid of Bhishma because he was so powerful. And he was old. But he had a lot of Shakti. He had a lot of knowledge of use of the weapons. And he also had a benediction from his mother, Ganga Putra, Bhishma. Right? So, in a spiritual sense, age is not everything. You can have a lot of Shakti if you have connected to the source of all Shakti, which is Lord Krishna. However, we do see that, and all of the Pandavas, due to their association with Lord Krishna and being the associates of Lord Krishna, they went back to the spiritual world in the self-same body. Just walked from the material world into the spiritual world. So that is, an added feature of their intimate association with Krishna. Is that okay?
Jai.
Any other question? So you don't have any questions? No questions? So that means that everybody here in this room is definitely going to pass the test. Is that right? 100%? We're all going to, we're not going to flunk this time like we did last time. We're all going to make it, right? That's why you don't have any questions? Okay, great. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Bhima Prabhu, for your presentation. So like Prabhuji said, there are two ways to connect with Krishna or go back to Krishna. One of them is chant his holy name, and the second is honor prasadam. So we help you in both ways. We help you in chanting the holy name of the Lord. You come here every day in the morning, people are chanting. And right now at 6:30, we will offer you the second part, which is honoring the prasadam. किशोर किशोरी की जय, जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय, श्री श्री गौनिताई की जय, शिला प्रभुपाद की जय. So prasadam will be served upstairs on 3rd floor, and after that please do come back because we will be having kirtan here in the temple till 8 o'clock. Thank you so much once again for being here with us tonight. Hare Krishna.
Okay, let him sing first, then you sing. Okay?
How does this get lowered?
Then
Which one are you singing? Hare Krishna. Om Krishna Pristaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pashata Deshatarine. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Okay, let us sing 5 minutes Nursing Harti. Okay, she is leaving tomorrow for India. Then you can do it.
Namaste Narasimhaya, Namaste Narasimhaya, प्रह्लाद लाददायिने हिरण्यकशिपुर्वक्षः शिलाटङ्कानखालरे इतो नरसिंह परतो नरसिंह बहिर्नरसिंह विततो नरसिंह बहिर्नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपते तव करकमलवरे नखा अद्भुत शृङ्गा ललिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे 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 यो नरसिंहदेव जय हो नरसिंहदेव नरसिंहदेव जय हो नरसिंहदेव जय हो प्रहलाद महाराज जय हो प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय हो प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल जय गौर हरि बोल
Focus आगे. Ready? Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Keshor Keshori, Jaya Keshor Keshori, Keshor Keshori, Jaya Keshor Keshori. Jaya Prabhupada, Goranitai, Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai. Jaya Pranataya, Jagannataya, Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol.
बैग में रखना, ठीक है?
हरे कृष्ण। ॐ अज्ञानातिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Kishore Kishore Jaya Kishore Kishore Jaya Kishore Kishore Jaya Kishore Kishore Jayo Radha Madhava Radhe Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Govinda Radhe Jaya Radha Gopi Vallabha Radhe Radha Gopi Vallabha Radhe Jaya Radha Damodara Radhe Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Devi Jaya Sudarshan Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Devi Jaya Sudarshan Jaya Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव
Stuck. Oh, you taking out? Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. No, you can go. You can go. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori. Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jagannatha, Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori. Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. জয় জগন্নাথ জয় জগন্নাথ বলদেব জয় সুভদ্রা বলদেব জয় সুভদ্রা জয় জগন্নাথ জয় জয় বলদেব জয় সুভদ্রা জয় জয় প্রভুপাদ 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 জয় জয় প্রভুপাদ জয় জয় গুরুদেব 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 জয় জয় গুরুদেব নিতাই গৌর হরি বল হরি বল হরি বল নিতাই গৌর হরি বল श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय जय जय
Karan, how?